Céline Dion just dropped a bombshell, and fans around the world can't believe what she's finally admitted. At 58, she's breaking her silence about her late husband, René Angélil, and the truth will shake you. For years, she hid behind the spotlight, but now she's exposing the painful secret that nearly destroyed her career and her life. This revelation changes everything we thought we knew about Céline Dion's love story. Wait till you hear what really happened behind closed doors. For years, Céline Dion has stood as the very image of grace, elegance, and unwavering strength. Her powerful voice has filled stadiums, her performances have brought millions to tears, and her presence has inspired generations of fans. To the world, she has always been the woman who could do it all, the superstar who never faltered, no matter what life threw her way. But behind the lights, the applause, and the glamour, there was a story she kept locked away, a story filled with love, loss, and unimaginable pain. For decades, people have known the outline of Céline Dion's legendary romance with René Angélil, the man who discovered her, mentored her, and ultimately became the love of her life. Their relationship captivated the world, not just because it was unusual, but because it was real. René was not only Céline's manager. He was her protector, her partner, and her greatest believer. He saw her potential when she was just a 12-year-old girl with a dream. And together they built one of the most successful careers in music history. Yet, few truly understood the depth of their connection, or the challenges they faced behind closed doors. Theirs was not just a love story, but a partnership that survived fame, illness, and personal sacrifice. Céline has now revealed that while the world saw them as the perfect couple, there were countless moments of struggle, of fear, and of emotional exhaustion that she never dared to share. "I had to be strong for everyone," she confessed, "but inside, I was breaking." When René Angélil passed away in 2016 after a long battle with throat cancer, Céline's world came crashing down. The man who had been her compass, her mentor, and her husband was suddenly gone, and she was left to navigate a life that no longer felt familiar. "I lost not just my husband," she explained. "I lost my partner in everything." In her silence, fans saw resilience. She continued performing, smiling, and giving her all on stage, but now we know that every note she sang carried the weight of grief. The strength people admired was often just a mask she wore to survive the day. Céline revealed that she felt lost without René, both personally and professionally. For over 3 decades, every decision, every performance, every step of her career had been shared with him. Without him, she had to rediscover who she was, as a woman, as a mother, and as an artist. Her grief wasn't something she could simply move past. It became a part of her, shaping how she saw the world. She often spoke to him in her heart, asking for guidance. At times, she admitted, she still felt his presence, like a voice reminding her to keep going. That quiet strength became her anchor. Slowly, through her music and her children, Céline began to heal. Raising their 3 sons without René was another mountain to climb. But Céline chose to see it as her mission, to carry forward the love he left behind. "He taught me everything," she said softly, "and now I'm teaching our children the same values he gave me." Now at 58, Céline Dion has finally decided to open up, to share her truth with the world. Not for sympathy, but to show that even in the darkest times, love never truly disappears. Her story is not just about losing someone, it's about learning to live again. Through heartbreak, illness, and the pressures of fame, Céline stands as a living reminder of resilience and grace. The woman we see today is stronger than ever, not because she's untouched by pain, but because she's learned how to transform it into strength. And for the millions who still adore her, Céline's message is clear. Even when life breaks you, it's love that helps you rise again. For years, Céline Dion's emotional journey after the passing of her beloved husband René Angélil remained shrouded in silence. The world saw her dazzling performances, her radiant smile, and her graceful presence, but few could imagine the depth of pain she was hiding behind that stage light. Until now, in a heartfelt and rare confession, Céline finally opened up about the private agony she has carried for years. She admitted that her grief was not something she ever wanted to share with the world. She didn't want her fans to see her broken. She didn't want sympathy or headlines about sorrow. She wanted to protect her audience, the same people who had given her so much love. But keeping that pain buried came with its own cost. She revealed that the loss of René was not just emotional, it was all-consuming. "When he died," she said softly, "a part of me went with him." The man she had loved, trusted, and leaned on for more than 2 decades was gone. And suddenly Céline found herself standing in a world that felt cold, strange, and unfamiliar. Their love story wasn't ordinary. It was a bond that went beyond romance. It was a partnership built on dreams, music, and devotion. René had discovered Céline when she was still a young girl with an angelic voice and a shy smile. He guided her career, believed in her talent, and helped shape her into the global icon the world knows today. Over time, that professional connection blossomed into something much deeper, a love that became the very heartbeat of her life. But when that heartbeat was silenced in 2016 after René's long and painful battle with cancer, Céline's world shattered. She lost not only her husband, but also her mentor, her manager, and her anchor. The man who once stood beside her through every high and low, who celebrated every triumph and comforted her through every failure, was no longer there. In her new interview, Céline confessed that she felt utterly lost after his passing. "I didn't know who I was without him," she admitted. "Every decision I made, every performance, every step of my life, he was part of it." The stage that once brought her joy now felt empty. The songs that once spoke of love now echoed with sorrow. Still, Céline refused to let her pain define her. She chose to keep moving forward, for her fans, for her children, and for the promise she had made to René before he passed. But behind that strength was a woman still learning how to breathe without the person who had given her purpose. She described nights spent crying alone, days when she questioned whether she could go on, and moments when she longed just to hear his voice one more time. Through it all, she held on to one thing, his love. She said that even though René was gone, she still felt him with her. "He's in every song I sing, in every note I hold. He's my guiding light, even from the other side." Céline's confession reveals a truth we often forget, that even the strongest hearts break, and even the brightest stars carry shadows. Her journey is not just about grief. It's about rediscovering herself in the silence left behind. Today, as she continues to perform and inspire millions, Céline Dion stands as proof that love never truly dies. It transforms, it guides, and it gives us the strength to rise, even after the hardest goodbye. For those who thought Céline Dion had simply moved on after the death of her beloved husband, René Angélil, the truth is far more complicated and far more heartbreaking. In her recent revelations, Céline made it clear that her journey hasn't been a smooth path of recovery. It's been a long, exhausting battle, one that very few people ever truly saw. After René's passing, Céline faced unimaginable pressure from every side, her fans, her family, and the media. Everyone seemed to have their own expectations of how she should grieve, when she should return to the stage, and how she should carry herself as a superstar. To the public eye, she was the strong, graceful Céline Dion, a legend who could withstand anything. But behind closed doors, she was a woman trying to survive her own heartbreak. Céline confessed that there were days when she could barely recognize herself. She would wake up and wonder who she was now, without René by her side, without his guidance, his love, and his reassuring presence. For decades, every part of her identity had been shaped around their partnership. He wasn't just her husband, he was her mentor, her manager, and the architect of her dreams. Together they built an empire, both in music and in life. But when he was gone, Céline said she felt like the ground had vanished beneath her feet. "For the first time in my life," she revealed, "I didn't know who I was." She wasn't just mourning the man she loved, she was mourning the version of herself that existed with him. Every concert, every interview, every note she sang brought back memories of René's influence. His voice echoed in her mind, guiding her, encouraging her, loving her, but also reminding her that he was no longer there. This wasn't just grief, it was an identity crisis. Céline had to rebuild herself from the ground up. She admitted that she often felt like she was living in someone else's skin, pretending to be strong when all she wanted to do was break down. But her fame left her little room to grieve privately. Every move she made was under a spotlight, every expression analyzed, every performance dissected. Yet through all of this, Céline never gave up. Instead, she began a process of deep transformation. She learned that healing wasn't about moving on. It was about learning to live with the pain, accepting that love and loss could coexist. Slowly, she began to reconnect with herself. Not the global superstar, not René's wife, but Céline, the woman who still had a voice, a heart, and a story to tell. This transformation wasn't easy. It required strength she didn't know she had. There were moments of doubt, nights of tears, and countless times when she questioned whether she could continue her career. But each time she remembered the promise she made to René, to keep singing, to keep living, and to keep sharing her gift with the world. Now Céline Dion stands as a symbol of courage and rebirth. Her pain hasn't vanished, but it has become part of her power. The woman we see today is not just the singer who conquered the world. She's the woman who faced her deepest fears and found herself again in the silence that followed loss. Her story reminds us that even the strongest hearts can break, but true strength lies in the decision to rise again. No matter how shattered you feel inside, even as Céline Dion navigated the storm of grief, she found her anchor in the very thing that first gave her life meaning: music. For Céline, music has never been just a career. It has always been her language, her way of expressing what words cannot. After losing René, that connection became even more powerful. Music wasn't just a part of her life. It became her lifeline. When the world thought she was healing because she returned to the stage, what they didn't see was that performing was her form of survival. Every note, every lyric, every moment under the spotlight became a quiet conversation with René's memory. "My voice," she once said, "was the only part of me that still felt alive." Singing became her way of processing the pain, a release, a prayer, and a reminder that love doesn't end when life does. Her songs, which once spoke of romance and triumph, began to carry deeper meaning. When Céline sang, fans could feel the ache in her voice, the kind of emotion that only comes from living through heartbreak. Her performances were no longer just entertainment. They were her therapy, her confession, her way of telling the world, "I'm still here, but I'm still healing." But there was another source of strength that helped her carry on. Her 3 sons, René, Charles, and the twins, Nelson and Eddie. Raising them without René was never going to be easy. Yet it became Céline's greatest motivation to keep going. She often says that her children became the heartbeat that replaced the silence René left behind. In interviews, Céline has opened up about how deeply her children have helped her rediscover purpose. "They keep me grounded," she admits. "They remind me of what love truly is and what I'm living for." For her, motherhood became more than just responsibility. It became a sacred bond that held her together when everything else seemed to fall apart. Each of her sons carries a piece of René's spirit, and in them Céline says she feels his presence every day. From helping with homework to sharing quiet family dinners, she found comfort in the ordinary moments, moments that reminded her that love continues even after loss. "When I look at my boys," she says, "I see him, his smile, his heart, his strength. He's still with us, just in a different way." Her children also gave her the courage to face the stage again. They became her biggest supporters, cheering her on when she doubted herself. Céline revealed that before every major performance, she reminds herself that René would have wanted her to sing, not for fame, but because her voice is her gift to the world. And through that gift, his memory lives on. In the years since René's death, Céline has transformed her pain into power. Her music has evolved. It now carries a deeper, almost spiritual energy. Every performance feels like a tribute not just to her late husband, but to love itself. She once said, "When I sing now, it's not about perfection. It's about emotion. It's about truth." Through her music and her family, Céline Dion has shown the world that grief and love can exist side by side, that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means finding beauty in the pain and learning to sing through the tears. And that is exactly what makes her story so powerful. She didn't just survive her loss, she turned it into something timeless. Now at 58 years old, Céline Dion stands at a defining moment in her life. After years of heartbreak, healing, and rediscovery, she's finally ready to embrace a new chapter, one built not on loss, but on love that continues to live within her. She isn't moving on from René Angélil, the love of her life, because how could she? Instead, Céline is learning to live with him, carrying his memory like a quiet melody in her heart. Every performance, every note, every decision she makes is guided by the lessons and love he left behind. In her own words, Céline says, "I will never say goodbye to him. He's with me in everything I do." And that's exactly how she's chosen to live, not by erasing the past, but by blending it into her present. She has learned that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means finding ways to keep moving forward, even with the ache of loss still echoing inside you. Fans around the world are now witnessing a new side of Céline Dion, one that's softer, more open, and deeply human. The powerful diva who once belted out anthems of love and strength is now showing her vulnerability, her raw emotions, and her truth. And that truth is touching millions. She's not afraid to cry on stage, to share her story, or to admit that she's still finding her way. Her upcoming projects and performances are said to reflect this transformation. Whether it's her new music, documentaries, or public appearances, Céline is no longer just performing for applause. She's performing to connect. She wants her art to be a reflection of everything she's lived through, the joy, the heartbreak, the love, and the pain. It's a new kind of authenticity, one that reminds people that even icons have scars. In recent years, Céline has also faced new personal challenges, including health struggles that temporarily forced her away from the spotlight. But even then, she refused to let adversity define her. Her message to fans has remained consistent. Never stop believing in yourself, even when life feels impossible. Through every setback, she has shown courage and grace, proving once again why she is one of the most beloved artists in the world. Perhaps what makes this new chapter so special is Céline's unwavering commitment to honoring René's legacy while still creating her own. She often says that everything she does now is inspired by the foundation they built together. He believed in her before anyone else did, and now she carries that belief into every song she sings. It's her way of saying thank you, not just to him, but to life itself. Céline Dion's story is not just one of fame or tragedy. It's a story of resilience, love, and rebirth. It reminds us all that grief doesn't disappear. It evolves. It becomes part of who we are, shaping us into stronger, more compassionate human beings. Her openness encourages others to face their own pain with honesty and courage. As she steps into this new era, Céline's light shines brighter than ever. She has transformed her suffering into strength, her loss into legacy, and her music into healing. She's not just the voice behind timeless songs. She's a living example of how love can endure, even beyond death. Her journey shows that, no matter how broken life leaves you, it's possible to rebuild, to love again, to laugh again, and to sing again. And that's the magic of Céline Dion. She doesn't just perform songs. She lives them.